So it's very close at the front of the Vendée Globe fleet at the moment. It's quite interesting to look at the finer details of the boats at the moment, and we can use some of the data from the dashboard on Boris Racing website. So we can see that further to the south, where the fleet have kind of been sailing yesterday afternoon and throughout today, they've had kind of nice easterly wind, but slowly as they sail further north, the wind, as it typically does in the trade winds, is going back down towards the southeast, is turning to the right. And we can see on the true wind angle how it slowly increased from 75 up to about 100. And if we look at about an hour and a half ago, we can see where the boat slowed down and Boris bore away, that he made a sail change to a more downwind sail. He went from the J2 to the J1.5. You can see that by looking at the J2 rig load data. You can see that it massively dropped off here, which means that he's probably on the J1.5 sail, which is more suited to this downwind angles of sort of 110 true wind angle, which is what he's sailing right now. So it's quite useful to look at the data to see what's going on there, but that will help him as he goes further north and the wind continues to turn right. But it's also interesting if we look at the fleet are currently sailing past the coast of Brazil. You've got Recife here, which they'll be passing soon. So that's just there. We can see that everyone's left a bit of a gap, so it's about 30 miles to Apivia and Louis Berton from the coast, and that's basically because if you get too close to the coast, you can end up with firstly a counter current down here, which you'll have to fight against, which won't help you in your route north. But also the wind will tend to diverge a bit if you get too close to the coast. So what that means is the land will have a big influence on the wind, and you can have less wind all along the coast here. So that's why the boats will be trying to avoid kind of sailing too close to this part of the coast. Boris over here is further to the east than these boats, so he's definitely well out the way of this. But as we go further forward, so what's going to happen is the wind's going to continue to turn to the right as they sail further and further north. And the next feature that the fleet will be looking for is at the doldrums, which is currently at about 1 degree north, kind of the entrance to the doldrum. So just after they've passed the equator, and they're expected to be somewhere in the region of entering it at 0600 UTC on the 17th of January, so about 36 hours from now. And at the moment, the doldrums are looking slightly complicated. They're not going to be as easy as usual, so potentially there could be some slow ups in the fleet here. As we get closer, we'll have a slightly better picture, but Boris is really going to have to think about which route he chooses to take through the doldrums. We'll have a look at a few weather features later on as he gets closer, but he could either choose to sail further towards the west in this direction, or he could choose to sail further to the east, depending on where he thinks the doldrums will have the most wind. But also he'll want to think a bit about his strategy going to the North Atlantic. We can see that these northeasterly winds here, if you imagine if you cross it further towards the east, then he'll have a better angle to sail in this direction once he gets through the doldrums than if he was to cross over here and have to sail a more upwind angle to make his way to the north. So something to think about as he approaches the doldrums, but for now it's still a drag race up to the north.